Hello, and welcome to the Battleship Brawl Companion. I'm Elo Frizergan, and this episode I'll be reviewing Task Force Edenite by Breakthrough. Edenite is actually a real material, a real type of mineral, so named after the locality of Edenville in New York State. Only the task force seems to be called Edenite. The ships themselves are simply referred to as the red one and the blue one. Obviously, this is the red one with the nice red racing stripes here. The AIs are named, well, they have Chan at the end of them. Judging from the matching channel numbers, it appears that Chan is simply short for channel and not the Japanese honorific. We're making a somewhat slowish speed of just under 12 meters per second here. Probably slowness is probably due to the not particularly streamlined from the hull. If I go into drag view mode and hope we don't run aground here, we'll see that there's a bunch of blunt faces at the bottom, and even the main hull is only yellow in this view. Still, not all is bad. A lot of the propellers are mounted on the bottom. Since this is well below the center mass, it will tend to give the ship a sort of a nose-up profile when moving, thus lifting more of the nose out of the water, causing it to experience less drag than it would otherwise. Let's take a look at the turn rate. Looks to be around 5.5 degrees per second. Not spectacular, but not terrible. The armor is probably the most distinctive part of this ship. It seems like the strategy was to make the smallest, densest, most thickly armored citadel possible. We've got a outer layer of solid, heavy armored blocks, which by itself is more armor than most ships have, but we've also got many layers of heavy armor triangles behind them. So effectively, the outer layers are going to be having 3-digit armor classes, which is pretty amazing. Let's see, I've got the engine here. Should know this is quite an efficient engine. We see here it's making, well, at peak efficiency. Let's see, power per fuel per second. At peak efficiency, we're looking at over 400 power per fuel. Buoyancy for all this dense heavy armor is provided by these several sections of air pumps at the outside. While they do have some compartmentalization, unfortunately these compartments are not particularly well protected, being only a single layer of wood and corner wood at that. I mean, they'll fall apart if you so much as breathe on them. And as we saw in the first battle, that proved to be the undoing of these ships, as the buoyancy was quickly lost, leaving the heavy armor to drag the ship towards the seabed. Got the ammo stored, or at least a bit of the ammo stored in this mast above the ship. While storing it in a mast, compared to storing in the keel, storing in the mast doesn't benefit from shells getting slowed down by water. but a mast also produces much less drag than a deep keel. So there is a trade-off to be made there. See this gap here? That's a light block. Light blocks don't collide with other blocks, so at least in theory, a turret could pass through this light block. And since subconstructs don't collide with each other, I guess it's more than just theory. Let me test out the traverse here. So if I take that to the back, yep, goes right through. Now about the guns themselves. The provisioning is pretty decent on these guns, even if the gauge is a bit on the low side. 65 explosive and 9 hardening is quite respectable, as is the 9 ammunition boxes. Unfortunately, with only 3 guns each on 2 ships, the Force Edenite is severely undergunned. Especially so given that the gauge is only 1320 millimeters. If we look under the hull, let me shrink the hull. We see that the under the hull we've only got a diameter of 3, probably to keep the citadel size to a minimum and thus maximize the armor protection, or minimize the cost of armoring it equivalently. So overall, a extremely heavily armored design, probably the densest armor of any ship I've seen so far in this tournament, or indeed otherwise. Hope the next battle goes better for you, Breakthrough, and I'll see you all next time.